Hey guys, welcome back to the Bayside Fabrication YouTube channel. Well, this car is just about ready to rip, but we have a few things that we really want to do to it before that happens. First things first is we're on the dyno and we ran it really low on fuel, and before I start putting fuel in, start driving it around and forget about it, we have to replace, you can't see it now, but I'll show you in a minute, our fuel pump pickup tube. So the whole rest of the car has PTFE fuel lines except for that tube. I had a full tank when I did the lines, so I wasn't able to do it at the time, but that is certainly something we want to address because ethanol will eat that fuel line, and then we could run into major issues with running lean and stuff like that. So that's number one thing we're doing right now. Number two is we have to address these subframe bushings, specifically the rear. So if you can see here, let me try to really get this under. See all that movement in there? That is no bueno. I actually did a couple rips before the dyno tune, so it was running still high 300 horsepower. And we went from third to fourth, and it started, you know, it just felt like it was almost wheel hopping, which was the rear subframe moving up and down. On the dyno, you could actually see the subframe moving up and down almost a ½ inch. So that's a safety thing, really. And furthermore, that will also help correct our camber, which I also need to try to correct it more. But right now we're probably running on, I don't know, 4 inches of contact patch on the tire. So traction is a very big issue at this point. So you see it almost jacks up a ¼ inch from the bottom. I'll lower it right now. That's a problem. So that just highlights how big of an issue it is. Those should not be doing that at all. And that creates a lot of instability in the rear because there's a lot of play in the whole suspension geometry in really all directions. So I just want to highlight that and show you guys that and the seriousness of it. Now the other thing we have to do, let me grab a, so the other issue we have to take care of is our front control arm bushings. That's going to be a quick one. I already have the bushings. I have some aftermarket, they call them lollipops, but as you can see here, see that movement? That's very bad. So both these bushings are smoked. I mean, pretty much all the bushings on this car were smoked when I bought it. It has 120,000 miles on the chassis, and I'm quite certain everything's original. So we're just eliminating them one by one. The engine mounts, the engine mounts and transmission mounts were the first ones I took care of, and now we're gonna work our way back to the subframe. So it's just one of those deals where, you know, we can't have our wheels shimmying back and forth at 100+ miles an hour when we're going down the track. So that's not something that I'm willing to just go out and send it for a YouTube video and, you know, risk it, stuff like that. You know, it doesn't make any sense to do that. I mean, this car will be out there plenty. We'll have plenty of times to rip it, send it, and have fun with it, but we want to do it in a safe way. So I don't really care. One of those things, we're just gonna do it and we're gonna do it right. I'm never in a rush to do anything, and especially when we got a car with 400 horsepower that weighs 2,000 pounds. There's no need to get silly. The thing's already silly. So we're gonna do it safe, we're gonna do it right. So that's my project today, and hopefully I want to get this all done and back together probably within a day or two, because I do have to drop the whole rear subframe to do those bushings, and they're never easy to come out. I'll probably have to burn them out, as you guys can see. But let's get this thing fixed up a little bit, get the suspension squared away, and we can really rip this thing. So we did all that just to replace this line right here. We're just gonna swap that out. All right, we got a new line on. I'm ready to reinstall here. Oh, here we go. I mean, I can almost pull these right off. So, those are so bad. All right, so here's our old ones. They actually just kind of spun right off. And this is what we're replacing it with. So I don't know what brand these are. I bought these used. They look, I think they're Treehouse Racing or someone, yeah, maybe Ireland Engineering. I don't know who actually makes these, but these are just a Delrin insert fixed. I'm not sure if they're offset either. Let me see. Yep, they're offset. So this will actually gain us a little bit of caster, which is good on these cars. So we'll get a little caster out of these, and oh, that's good. Man, I didn't think these were the offset version. So that hole's there, and that one's on the inside. These are definitely offset control arm bushings. So that's a good surprise because the guy I bought them from didn't know. And like I said, I think I paid like 30 or 40 bucks for them shipped. So they didn't really cost me anything. Well, man, that was easy. That took all of about 10 minutes. Sometimes I've had the old ones really be a bear to come off, so that was a nice little treat for once. So now we have to start thinking about our rear end here. There we go. Hey, bud. So in my non-professional experience, this is the easiest, fastest way to take out subframe bushings. Y'all can try to change my mind, but it ain't gonna happen. Just get them started a little bit, and they'll burn themselves right out in no time. Well, while we're at it, guys, a little super clean. All right, y'all, we're under our first bushing. It's going to be our diff cover. I pressed the old one out so we can use this as our sizing, but it's just going to, our new one's going to press right in there. And we're gonna not drill the hole right now because I'm going to raise the subframe. So this hole actually will probably be offset slightly, so we'll have to figure that out afterwards. So I have it right now. We are turning it in our lathe. So that came out pretty good. Let's go press it in the housing. And it should fit perfect because it's the same exact size as the old one. So there we go. One diff bushing installed. Alright, so what we're doing now is trying to figure out how much we can go as far as our suspension. And what I mean by that is right now I'm trying to raise the entire subframe up to get to a normal suspension geometry, and that should resolve a lot of the camber issues. first bushing here is kind of a prototype deal, and now we're just replicating that on what we did there on here. All right, we got our 2 subframe bushings. Now they're not the prettiest on the planet, but they're going to work. I do need to work on a little bit of tooling. You can see, in this one I had to, kind of freehand it with the tooling I had in there to get the convex shape for that to match that. So what I really need to do is get some carbide and make custom tools if I have to do something like that again. But either way, this is going to work just fine for this application. Like I said, I gotta go and clean these up a little bit, but they're gonna work just fine. All right, so I made these sleeves, these aluminum sleeves here that are going into here. So these are a 3/4 inch ID. This is a 3/4 inch hole that I drilled with a drill press. So they should be a pretty snug fit. There we go, that's our bushing. So at this point, these are ready to reinstall. So they go in like that, and they're very tight in here. So as you can see here, the bolt has a flare at the end of it. The shank is smooth, and then the threads taper out. So since we raised it, the threads are actually as big as that shank approximately. So this fits really tight on here. At the shank and over the threads. So once we get that base on too, this thing ain't going anywhere. So that's a nice little setup here. So we're gonna press these back in and get this subframe moving along. I am making now my sleeves for my bushings. So these are going to be inside of that. So I just took some solid stock. We got some, where did it go? We got some 5/8 round here. And we just cut it to size, and then we are opening up the hole, which is, I don't remember the size of the drill bit offhand, but this is the rear trailing arm bolts. It fits like a glove. So that's gonna be our sleeve inside of our bushing. And hopefully this all goes together well. So, as a side note here, bushings are a total pain. And they're not really that difficult, but time consuming like crazy. So yeah, if you have a CNC lathe and stuff, you just hit, you design it, hit go. Doing it by hand and then going that route is very difficult. Once you do one, it's so easy to replicate it because you already have all the dimensions and everything. But kind of going from scratch and fitting and making sure everything looks right is proving to be not as easy as I thought. But we're all done with our bushings. Here's 4, 5, 6, 7 bushings that we made. Took about a day and a half, which really kind of sucks. I was really hoping it'd be quicker than that, but man, it's a lot of work. And if I were you out there, I'd leave it to places like Condor Speed Shop to do this for you, because to save a couple bucks takes a lot of time. So that'll be the end of my rant on that. You win some, you lose some, and I'm just kind of person where I'd rather do it and learn than pay somebody. So that's just my point of view, but to everybody out there, I recommend just buying them ready to roll. Well, so here's how it came out, guys. We got one side finished. A little bit of a bear getting in there, man, I'll tell you. So this is starting to fight me now, but we'll have it. I just gotta put the other one in and we'll get this thing back in the car like ASAP. Guys, unfortunately I have to wrap it up for today. It is all back together minus the shock mounts and the wheels. So I'm super bummed that we weren't able to test it out right now, but we have friends coming over for dinner and it's just one of those things where I have to get out of here right now. So unfortunately, we're back together with the exception of a couple bolts, and we'll just have to run it next time. But next time we run it, we'll have a good video for you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. And I appreciate all your support, and we'll see you next time, guys. Thank you.